And welcome back, Final Fantasy 4. So, there must be a little bit out of northeast to some sort of way forward away from the desert. So, well, when there's just one direction to go, you go. And when you look at the map, well, it shows there are chests and all kinds of tunnels to go through. So let's just go and loot them. Nothing really unusual, and lots of enemies. And I've taken quite a lot of... I would say that in this game, grinding is very recommended. And I think in this episode, I think I might still be showing the basic fighting. Even though encounter rate in this game is quite ludicrously high. And of course, the further you get in the game, the more dangerous the enemies become. Which of course means there'll be so much more difficult things to do. And Ryhmä, well, as she is a summoner from Village of Mist, is quite much of a magical powerhouse. She can use both white magics and black magics. Which of course mean that she can, well, practically anything you might need magics in this game, she can do. And who is this weird person? Oh. Well, I guess I have to go to Kaipo City, and they are zombies, undead. They are quite dangerous in the sense that because they can tank a lot of damage, trying to fight them fair would be quite pointless. But they do have weakness towards healing magics once Ryhmä actually gets them to blast it out. Although that didn't do much damage to them. So let's just try to do the focused attack one target at a time, and Ryhmä can't, because of actually it's quite interesting story thing. Fire is quite much basic single target or multi-target offensive spell, but because of a very recent and traumatic experience, Ryhmä can't use that spell. Damn it. This is gonna take a long time. And using the basic method of healing spells, I was able to take them out, so I guess I have to return to Kaipo and see what's going on, because there's a long time since I played this game. I'm really rusty about what kind of story beats happens, especially right at the beginning of the game, in which there's lots of new mechanics being introduced, lots of characters, plenty of events going on in this phase of the game. Mostly because the basic structure of the plot has not yet been built. Oh, but now let's just make use of the basic method of talk everybody everywhere. And there's some damsel in Baron, from Baron. And a prince who is a delicate beauty. That means that him. Oh, that sounds familiar, so let's just go and have... Yep, that's Rosa. So now I must find cave of the antlion. So where might that be? And it's really interesting to note that the city's basic map structure does have some element of with the overworld map, as in that there's a matter of there's a big body of water right beneath above the north side of the city. Even though there was oh yeah. Oh, so now I know where to go. So it is time to actually rest, save, and head back to the old man in the cave and see what's going on there. And here it is. Sage Tellah. He's an old man, and because he's a sage, he knows a big amount of magics. And he's also quite a bit higher level than the other party. But there would be a little... But his leveling up is quite, you could say, feeble. Because hey, he's a scholar, not a fighter. Yeah, he can't even hit anything. Which in these quite early Final Fantasy games, not hitting was still an eventual slight problem. But still got through that, and there's a... And there was a little bit of a travel to do, but it looks like... well, let's just make use of the darkness ability of Cecil. It's a area of all enemies hitting attack. If I remember right, it was darkness elemental, and it does physical damage to Cecil whenever he launches it. So you really can't just make use of it as a instant win condition. Even though it is quite formidable attack. And the enemy groups tend to be maybe quite large, which is annoyance, you could say. And there's even need to do some sort of slightly tactical target acquisition. Trying to finish off targets with my less capable targets so that Cecil deals damage more efficiently. Lots of fights, and I do think that I'm not cutting them off, at least not in this episode, just to hammer home how exactly lots of these fights are in this game. Even with the auto fight system, where they repeat all the actions, fights may take quite a long time. So you can say that the big lion's share of this game's playing time is fighting random critters, which still is not in that sense horrifying, because all these basic small random critters go down quite easily, and you do get the money and experience points from them, so it's not in that kind of sense waste of time. And grinding in this game is quite very recommended, especially before any, you could say, really big story beat bosses, because they may be quite powerful. And I do like the setting of this as well, because, well, previous Final Fantasy games weren't that, you could say, solid in how they, what kind of settings they were. They were very vague, although I would say that Final Fantasy 1 and 2 had quite much, and 3 as well, had quite much different settings. Well, Final Fantasy 2 tried to make much more cohesive world than Final Fantasy 1, which was just basically separate cities just barely clinging to existence. While in this one it's much more tried to make it more vibrant and live, more real and lived in. But of course, tones of storytelling do vary. Sometimes you want the world feel to be empty and bleak, and sometimes you want it to be less empty and bleak. And this one is much less on the empty and bleak. Yeah, lots of fights. I would say almost exhausting amount of fights. Even at this early phase of the game, where fights tend to be quite either very long or very short. Usually in matter of, do you have any extra means to make use of it. And of course, if I would toss out the magic, I could do damage faster, but I tend not to, at least in these basic random encounter fights. As well to say, and I would say that despite that triumphant Final Fantasy victory theme, when you hear it several million times, hundreds or thousand times during the game, it's gonna get stale. And I think that Final Fantasy 12 made really use of it, as in it kept it stashed only after boss fights or after boss fights you could hear the Final Fantasy victory theme, which made it feel much more triumphant, and because in that game bosses could be quite tough. And I do say that the auto map system in this version is really handy. Yep. And some subtle gameplay tutorial thing, and if I remember right, these were not present in the earlier NES era Final Fantasy games. Oh yeah, apparently Bard was incapable of impressing his father-in-law. And some plot events of going on. So let's just save my progress and prepare to going. And I say that these big amount of random fights I have to deal with are quite exhausting. So let's just turn off the encounters thanks to Pixel Remaster ability thing, and arm Ryhmä with Ice Rod, which is Ice Elemental Attack. And now, well, face again another random encounter fight. against just basic fish. They're not even Aryan fish, they're just fish. That's a reference to old comedy sketch. But there's a door. And just as a little convenience, let's show off the innate game-based ability to drive off random encounters, which I would say is quite handy. But of course it will not work against boss encounters. And there's even these little secret tunnels which tend to be quite impossible to actually spot on their own. And there'll be quite many of these secret passages in this game. So, and in some places they might even be, but they usually are not required for progress, which of course makes them well, I will not say it, but they will be, I would say that that kind of completely hidden passages will be less and less common in Final Fantasy games of the future. Usually because, well, most likely because of the graphical styles make it so that such stylings couldn't be used. So, well, got through the cave, and there's a path to the actual cave itself, so without the, it's the waterfall. Ouch. Not particularly soft landing. And more random encounter monsters. And Toad is a status attack that can only be healed with either item or Toad spell itself. And it failed. Well, thank you. No need to repeat it. And of course, enemies which use Toad spell may do it again at the same target, making you recover from it. And of course, being toaded means you're gonna take way more damage. But luckily the item I gained, Maiden's Kiss, heals Toad, which otherwise would be, I would say it is some kind of remnant status effect, because later Final Fantasy games would not use it. These earlier ones had much more, you could say, more different status effects. Later ones would have much less of them, but they would have much, you could say, more dramatic effects. And these things take and these are flan type creatures, which means that they basically are immune to everything, almost everything except magics. So even at this early phase of the game, they are bringing out lots of these kind of special enemies that you really need to use your party's abilities on larger scale to really make use of it. And of course, they suck away all the precious magic points you might be having, which you will be needing. Which is kind of, I would say, sneaky, but kind of also low blow. design, so. But there's some new weapon, new set of gear for Cecil. And just so many. There's just so much of these random encounter monsters. Well, lucky for me, Cecil has no magic points. Oh, damn it, it went to suck away from Tellah. And Tellah really needs his magic points. But luckily those things really don't take well to being hit. Well, there looks to be some kind of extra special thing at the front because, well, there are all kinds of tentacles. It would be a boss fight, so let's just face the boss fight. We have the boss music. Alright, if I... Now I don't remember what this tentacle swinging up about meant. Well... But it doesn't like thunder spell. So I'm gonna make use of it. And also Cecil's physical strikes do quite good dose of damage to it. So it's a basic just repeat what works. Oh yeah, and it doesn't look nice either. Let's try poison attack. Didn't work, of course. Status ailment attacks in Final Fantasy, especially in these early ones, tend to be those that, yeah, they either have very bad odds of hitting anything, or then they are just so much enemies immune to it that there's practically no reason to use those attacks, because you could just whack out real damage. But just getting one hit point back isn't much. Oh yeah, boss went down. I don't know, was it a result of massive amount of leveling up, which is extremely recommended in this game, or just it being quite easy. But the octopus monster has been defeated. There's a airships from Baron coming. Big kabooms. They didn't even stop. And looks like the castle is now a wreckage. So let's just save first and get inside to see what's going on. Good. Också död. Yeah, they came to just fetch the crystal from here again. And looted almost everything as well. But that was healing pots upstairs. Yep. Oh, damn. Yep. And as funny as that term spoony bard is, it's actually a valid word. And also quite properly used word as well, meaning a very romantic, lovesick personality or trait. And bard is exactly that. He really is spoony. Yeah, there was a tale of murder. And Sage Tellah just buggered off because he's got a big personal beef against this introduced Golvets. And when a child gives you a lesson about being a grown-up, yeah, I have to punch it. And now there's a new, once again, one character left, another character joined. There's lots of characters in this game joining and leaving and joining the group. So far there's already been, let's see, Cecil, Kane, Ryhmä, Tellah, and now Edward. There's already been 5 playable characters in this game and it hasn't even gotten much of start yet, so... Well, so there's a ground vehicle also as well, which was a new thing in the Final Fantasy games, ground vehicles. But let's just go and run through the Damsian Castle to gobble some of that healing juice, restores the magic points. And restores the magics and status effects. And generally you could say that the castle is in quite bad shape. Bombarded to quite much hell. And it would be, there was lots of plot happening and it would be a boss fight and there would be time to end this episode right here. Because the plot has start to be lots of action going on. See you next time. See ya.